Okay, we're back home. We've washed our blackberries, taken out all the deleterious material, which is bits and bobs you don't want in there in your brew. 8 pounds of blackberries. They will go into this bucket, which is full, more or less full, within about 4 inches of the top. The bucket's been thoroughly sterilised first. The boiling water's in there. We pour all the blackberries into it. And we'll do that now, and we'll see how we go with that. We should get some nice colour, which we will do once we've stirred it up. It will start to turn. Got the blackberries in there. We don't want it to come up too over the top, do we? But there we go. There's all the blackberries in there. That's our 8 pound. We give it a good stir. We use plastic. We use everything plastic when you're making wine. Plastic is better because if you use metals, I'm not saying it does contaminate anything, but I always recommend using plastic. Jugs, spoons, sieves, all that sort of thing. Now, the colour's coming up nicely there. We've got all the blackberries in there brewing away, and that's boiling water that brings out and infuses all the berries, brings out all the juices beautifully. What we do now with that is we put on the lid and we leave that overnight to cool. Put the lid, seal it tight, leave that to cool. We mark what it is. Blackberry, 40 is my reference. But blackberry today, 29th of the 9th, 2020. We then transfer that information to the book, and I'll explain as we go down each phase, what we do, show you the book and explain it all each phase later. Right, going back to this is what they call pectolase. What you do tomorrow when the brew's cooled down, you'll put in, for blackberries, 1 level teaspoon per gallon. There's 5 gallons, so that's obviously 5 teaspoons full. If you're making apple, plum, damson wine, then you need to put 2 in to break it down. It's harder to break down than a small fruit like blackberries. So we do that tomorrow morning when the whole of the tubs cool down. And then after that, we leave the whole thing for 4 days. You can do it for 3, but I like to leave it all for 4 days. You get the maximum of the colour then, beautiful red colour. So, okay, that's it. Now we've achieved what we want to do till tomorrow, and then we'll take it from there. So, watch this space once again. Well, we certainly picked the best day yesterday for blackberry picking. We're down by Red River. The reserve is just over the bridge there. The river itself runs through the marshes. Beautiful spot. Raining today, but yeah, runs through the marshes, feeds all the ponds. I'll show you the reserve from here. Feeds all the ponds, loads and loads of wild birds on there, and it'll not be long now before we get the starling flocks, thousands of them. It's a display and a half. There's the reserve. That's where we were picking the blackberries yesterday. You can just see it over the hill there, and the marshes and the wild bird sanctuaries over there. We come over here, and this is the view we've got. And on a beautiful day, we can see what it's like on a beautiful day. We've got a couple of big tankers out there waiting for instructions where to go next. So that's the mount, St Michael's Mount. Yeah, but it's foul today. But basically, Billy Connolly once said, there's nothing wrong with the weather, you're just wearing the wrong clothes. Get a sexy raincoat and live a little. God bless him. He's given me a lot of laughter over the years, a lot of pleasure, right from the bicycle joke to the lady doing 70 miles an hour as she disappeared off the bus. We hope he makes a breakthrough and a lovely recovery. God bless Billy. Get well soon, mate. Get well soon. Well, when the weather turns, we're down here with the fishing rods, going on the beach, maybe have a barbecue if the weather turns a bit better. Certainly come down with a bottle of our home brew, of our blackberry wine. One or two people down there actually trying to brave the weather. But yeah, magical spot. Very lucky to live here. The river's meandering down here now into the sea. Fabulous. Well, I think we go back now to the old warmth and get some breakfast. Maybe have a walk down here later, get some more lungs in the more air in the lungs. So yeah, back and get some more wine brewing. Okay, the wine's cooled overnight. It's time to put in the pectins. Unfortunately, I've smashed my long plastic spoon, so I'm going to have to break the rules and use a metal one, unfortunately. A metal one. Anyway, no worries. We put in 5 teaspoons into our wine. So, 5 of those. 2, 3, 4, and 5. 5 of those. We don't use the metal spoon to stir it. We use our faithful plastic one. Now the pectic enzyme does 2 things. It brings out all the flavours from the fruit. And you get the maximum amount of juice. That's what it helps to do. It also possibly helps to create pectic enzymes at the end of the brew. In other words, when you bottle it, it's nice and clear, and the flavour's nice and it smells good. So that's that. We now put the lid back on there, and we put that somewhere on one side, seal it up, put that on somewhere on one side, leave it for 4 days, stir it twice a day, and then we'll go to the next phase. So we can't do anything now with that for another 4 days. So we'll pop it there out of the way. Pardon me. We've marked in that we've put in, well actually I've marked 6, but it's 5, so I'll change that. It's 5 I've put in there. 1 teaspoon for every 25 litre, for every 5 litres or 1 gallon. Okay, we can't do anything else there, but what I want to do now is briefly show you what you'll need equipment wise. So we'll go over here to the equipment table. I don't want you to worry too much. It seems like you've got to buy a lot of stuff, but you'll actually get most of this on Marketplace, car boot sales, charity shops, all that sort of thing. You can pick used towels up from charity shops for 50p each. You can get the demijohns. These demijohns, I picked those up for car boot, 50p each. The buckets that we've used, £1 each, car boot. Bottles, you can actually go to a pub and say, save me your bottles, or you can ask friends to save you their bottles. We've got, you'll need corks, you'll need breathers, filters, you need this tube and that measures your actual alcohol at the end of the brew, thermometer, sealer caps, corks, if you decide to cork and seal it. The only expense you've got, oh, that's a corking machine, you need these filter bags, etc. Looks prohibitive, and it looks as though you're going to have to spend a fortune. But I can tell you that the whole of the stuff on there has cost me less than about 30 quid. And once you actually paid for it, the following year, it's costing you nothing but the ingredients. The ingredients are the expensive part. I get mine off eBay, or I go to a competitive company. Bigger Jugs is one of them. They've got their own site, but I actually get it from, it's in Somerset, but I actually get it from eBay. Now what you'll need, I won't go into too much detail because I'll show you all the process as we go along and what you need and when. But you'll need yeast nutrient, citric acid, and also citric acid, yeast nutrient, that's right, and Camden tablets. I'll explain what they're for right at the end of the brew. That's to stop it. And obviously your sugar. So they're the most expensive things, all those items there. You've got breathers in there, you've got corks, you've got filter pads. The filter unit, you'll have to get them, that's essential. So we'll come back to all this as and when the process carries on. And don't worry too much, you'll pick all this up second hand, very cheaply, marketplace probably on your Faceache page. The reason you can get it so cheap is because people have the best intentions when they want to make wine, and then they discover the amount of time, there's an immense amount of time and effort goes into it, and the process takes months, and at the end of it they think, oh, I can't be bothered with this, I might as well go to the supermarket and get one off the shelf for £5. But you can make your own wine for less than £1 a bottle, possibly a bit more, depending on just depending on how many you make and the quantity of actual ingredients that you need. So there we are. I'll come back to all that as and when we actually go through the processes over the weeks, and we'll see how we go. So bye for now, and watch this space again. I have to correct an error I made briefly in the last part of the video. I said that the pectolase helps create possible pectin hazes, when it's exactly the opposite. It actually prevents possible pectin hazes. My mistake, and my apologies for that. Okay, we're here after 4 days. We're going to take all the residue off the blackberries. That's our blackberry 40. We'll throw that on one side. You'll need 3 things. A spare bucket, 4 things for a spare bucket. You'll need a sieve, plastic sieve, and 2 filter bags. One is a coarse bag and one is very, very fine. Now that's to take off all the residue, so all you get is the juices. So we'll start with that process. We take off the blackberries. We have a bucket here, a bin here, just to put all the blackberries in. Okay, we'll put the blackberries in and do that. They go into that. Takes a little while. We get the bulk of the berries out, which leaves just the juice. It's nice and red. I'll keep doing that. Now this process takes about 20 minutes, so I'm not going to actually continue right through with it. What I'll do is I'll show you the process and then skip to the actual fermentation side of it, where we add the sugars and all the ingredients and so on. So we've got the bulk of that. There'll be some in the bottom, so you'll have to get those out too. We'll finish it at that point and go to the filter bags now. Right, so filter bags, the coarse one first, which is the coarse one. That's the coarse one first. And into this sterilised bucket. We have to have it sterilised. It's got to be clean. We don't want any contamination. Okay, so here we are. We start with this. Filter that into there. And so on. I won't do it all the way. I'll just show you how you go on with this. But we take all of it out. Any berries that are left in the bottom or any residue will actually go into this bag. So we'll leave it at that. You'll see there that the berries are in the bottom. Look, that's that. You can squeeze that gently, get all the juices out. That's that side. That's that first section. Put that out of the way. And now what we do is we have the very, very fine one. We'll be pouring that back into there. I won't do this because that needs to go back in before we filter it into the fine bag. So all that will need to go into there, and then we would filter this back into this one. I use this twice to make absolutely sure that we've got all the residue and there's just juice left. So the rest of that would be filtered into there with the other bag. Then we would filter it back into the original bucket and do that twice. It takes 20 minutes, but what we'll do now is we'll skip now directly to the fermentation process, which will take a little bit longer. I'll have to go through all of that. So now we're going to cut off now and go to the next process. Okay,